we have actually committed to 2 redevelopment projects on that same day.
In downtown.
So we're the first
Decatur.
developer out of the gates to come and utilize this incentive
Nice.
Oh,
that's
good.
put out there to
wonderful.
redevelop a couple properties.
And that's in Decatur.
In Decatur,
Yeah, cool.
in downtown Decatur.
Well, joining us today at the table are Zane Peterson and Ben Andreas from Main Place Properties. We sure appreciate you guys joining us. Thanks for
welcome
being here.
to the table. And
Thank
thanks
you very
for
much,
taking
Chris.
the time to come over. Yeah,
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Thanks,
you
Brad.
bet. You
This is
betcha.
fun.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen you. You know, being from Decatur. I mean, I remember you guys. 8-10 years ago when we'd cross paths, and now it sounds like things are going pretty good at Main Place. So tell us a little bit about what you guys have going on.
Well, it's been interesting. You know, everything's interesting after COVID, but there are a lot of opportunities now in Central Illinois.
Yeah.
I can see that there are things coming back. People are coming back to work. People are coming. There are a lot of inquiries, but in reality, we have a lot of opportunities in Decatur because I believe we have an increase in jobs and markets where we can actually lease office space and fill space that hasn't been filled in a long time.
Well, and we had Nicole Bateman on, I don't know how long ago, but boy, she sounded very bullish on what's going on in Decatur. Is that true? You guys feel good
especially in the industrial sector, and that's just going to drive other
feels
sectors.
like it, right?
That's going to drive other vendors and ancillary services.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you guys doing stuff outside of Decatur as well? Like other markets? Or
On
primarily?
our brokerage side, and then we have some holdings outside of Decatur.
Okay.
South Jacksonville, for example, right off of I-72,
Yeah.
we have development lots there.
Oh, really? Okay.
So a few years back, Ben helped bring in the Love's truck stop.
Oh,
to
yeah.
that site.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
and that
cool.
it was a very long process. Took about 36 months from
Really?
start to finish.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
incredible
So
how
talk about that. How do you reach out? Is there like
so that was really a cold call. So I've been working for Main Place Properties for 15 years.
Okay.
And 17 years.
Yeah.
Years kind of come and go really quickly nowadays.
I understand. Yeah.
So I have been in Main Place, and I started in 2007, and my dad started the company back in 2003.
Okay.
And I kind of went through the ringer. I was a maintenance person at first, and then I went through college at Millikan University, which is where I met Zane.
Okay. Very
So
good.
we've known each other for about 15 years, and we went to school together.
Cool.
Both graduating in finance.
Oh,
and
okay.
and so it's been a journey with Zane, but after that, I got my broker's license, just like Zane did. But my path was more on the commercial side right off the bat.
Sure.
And so I worked for Main Place Properties as one of their brokers. And I think that was in 2014 when that Love's deal came to fruition.
Okay.
And that was just straight cold calling and finding a certain tenant. And I got lucky with one of the calls. Met up with one of the developers of Love's, and then that all came to fruition. And something we'll talk about later is that it was all because of a TIF district in South Jacksonville that they had developed. And I know that we'll talk about Decatur just announcing one and how much effect it has on our company. But because they did the TIF district in South Jacksonville, Love's was able to get the redevelopment money back, and it's been a great thing for South Jacksonville, and it was a great thing for us.
Well, that's great. We'll talk about the TIF district in Decatur, that's the new one that's being developed.
So I believe it was May 6th when they announced the new TIF. And the TIF district, it's a taxable tax increment fund. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that right, Zane?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that tax increment fund, there's 1,500 of them in Illinois. And I think there's 8 in Macon County. And there's a few all around in central Illinois. And they help with developers rehab old buildings. And central Illinois has a lot of them. So it's a really good tool for them to give developers something to revitalize downtowns and revitalize old districts. And when they do this, like for instance, in South Jacksonville, it was meant for new development and trying to get retail. In this purpose, the one that's that's been announced and fully operational is to redevelop their downtown district.
Okay.
And to actually be able to take some of those old buildings and incentivize developers to go and put investment dollars, and we have actually committed to 2 redevelopment projects on that same day.
In downtown.
So we're the first
Decatur.
developer out of the gates to come and utilize this incentive
Nice.
that's
good.
put out there to
wonderful.
redevelop a couple properties
And that's in Decatur.
in Decatur,
Yeah, cool.
in downtown Decatur.
Which property? Can you talk about it? The
Yeah,
properties?
absolutely.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
ones are they?
160 East Main Street, so that's where Flora Gems is.
Yeah.
And Capelli's Hair Studios on the top floor. They have a beautiful space on the top floor of that building. In between John Flora and Flora Gems, they just completely remodeled their store earlier this year as well.
Oh,
It is
John did?
absolutely beautiful.
Oh, is it nice?
Yeah, they're one of the premier Rolex
It's beautiful.
sales
dealers.
dealers.
Yep.
And it's just a beautiful space. So timing of this works out really well because now we're able to revitalize the outside, put a whole new facade on, and then in the middle of John's Flora Gems and Nicole's Capelli's, there's 2 vacant floors.
Okay.
Floors 2 and 3 that have been completely vacant for 10 years.
Okay.
And this is a good opportunity to come in, revitalize those spaces, and attract new businesses or growing businesses or changing businesses that need a new footprint in office or mixed-use space.
Oh, that's exciting.
Cool. When you say mixed use, are you guys? Is there any apartment development going to happen in any of those spaces?
Our second project is on Merchant Street,
Okay.
above Giggles.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Giggles is the premier toy store.
Okay.
Kind of just well, they're kind of they have a little bit of everything. They're kind
They
of
do. They do have a little bit of
eclectic, but
everything.
Toys are
Like,
their,
you know where
their main,
the brass horn is and the gin mill. If you look down that street, they're
Okay.
down on the left-hand side. Is that
Okay.
right?
Yes,
Still
that's
in
right,
that
yeah.
same space.
That's
I
exactly
assume.
right.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So above that, there's a vacant floor that if you walk in there, it's like walking into the 1940s, 50s.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool, has some, really unique
Yeah.
dark wood still trim, but
All brick, probably
it,
exposed
it
walls.
needs to be,
Yeah.
redone. And this is a great tool to add a couple apartment units.
Nice.
And that's going to be a really kind of a test case for
It is.
further
No,
apartment and
dumb
housing
question.
development.
When you do these rehabs like this, do you have to make them like handicap accessible? Do you have to do elevators or any of that kind of stuff? Or
So there's certain codes for that. For apartments, you do not need to make them handicap
you don't?
accessible if
gotcha.
they're a second floor.
I just didn't know how much you
apartment.
have to put into that. Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
We've seen some of that in Springfield with the different TIF districts. In fact, the project that you guys did that big job
right.
on the
Yes.
chambers in
Chamber,
the apartment building, that was, had a substantial amount of TIF funds in it
Yeah.
to help.
I remember
Without
that.
them, those redevelopments oftentimes won't happen.
Yeah.
And I suspect that you guys
Yeah.
would say
So
that's
good for
the
you
same,
guys.
right?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Cool.
It is right, and that second one though, it like Zane said, it is a test case. It is a test run because the demand for housing in Decatur is significant.
Yeah.
It is.
I bet.
I think there was a housing study, and I know you had
Nicole's
Nicole.
team from the EDC
Yeah.
put together. They retained a group that did
Did a housing
study, and we're 680 units short of demand.
Is that right? Wow. Well, that's Yeah. That's
So
good.
we're
So
we're
it's a
taking
pretty good
these
number.
we're taking these 2 and seeing what kind of demand it is and seeing what the rent is. So what we're really trying to figure out is there's this thing called the gap. We call it the gap in housing.
Okay.
Right? There's the return on investment for somebody to put the money in.
Yep.
And it's expensive to put apartments in
Yes.
into
Well, you guys
old
know
buildings.
just from your trade. I mean, material costs. And talking about
yes.
COVID at the start of the segment,
Unbelievable.
like
Yeah.
it just
No, I know.
expedited all of
Yes.
that. So I mean,
Yeah.
you used to be able to build something for
Yeah.
builders would say like $100 a square foot. Now it's
Right.
probably $150 a square foot.
Right.
Well, it is. Yeah, the projects that we're looking
Inflation's real. Yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Agreed.
at.
Yeah.
And then, what interesting fact: the last apartment complex built in Decatur of fair market rent was 1984.
Wow.
No
That's
way.
unbelievable.
Yeah,
Huh.
the last
That's when I
apartment
was
complex.
born, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
been a while.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So that's something we're working on as well. Different from TIF, to put a complex in like that.
Sure.
But there is a gap, and we're trying to work through that with our local leaders and
Yeah.
see what that looks like and what can we do to fulfill this need.
Yeah.
And
cool.
and the industrial sector is growing. There's jobs here. There's ample jobs. We saw the boom from Rivian just in Bloomington. That took a boom across all of central Illinois. Springfield industrial sector, Springfield housing shot up because of Rivian. Decatur, same.
Everybody.
So we're working towards that to try to meet that market need, but also make it a sound investment for an investor.
Sure.
Because right now, if we pencil this out, an investor put up a 8-figure project to make a 4% return.
Right.
I don't know if too many people are willing to
Correct.
do that.
Yeah, and take the risk for sure.
Right.
So switching subjects real quick, you kind of told us about your path to where you guys are, at least you personally, but I kind of like your story too, like because you originally were didn't you start a hot dog?
Yes.
Business?
So
Tell us
originally I
about
grew up in
that.
the north suburbs of Chicago. I caddied through high school, college.
Where'd you caddy?
Glenview Club.
Oh,
right in the Village of Golf.
That's-
it was like one of the first golf clubs on the North Shore
That's
of
high
Chicago.
end. Cool. That's a
It
high
was,
end club.
yes,
Yeah. Wow. That's
so great
cool.
experience. Had a chance
Yeah.
to caddy and meet a lot of professionals, investment bankers, doctors, lawyers.
Were
et
you
cetera.
part of the Evans Scholar program?
I was not.
Okay.
No,
Gotcha.
I opted. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
Didn't go that route. I had some friends that did.
That's
but
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes, but great experience. Great experience of just people, and taught me a lot of hard work ethic.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
and some soft people skills.
Yep.
So went to Milliken, studied finance, played on the golf team. Out of Milliken, going into my junior year, my dad sold his business in Chicago. He had a black car service.
Okay.
He is kind of too early to retire, didn't know what to do, always had a passion for Chicago-style hot dogs.
Sure.
So I was like, well, Decatur has some of that, but not really.
Yeah.
So we opened up a Chicago-style hot dog stand on the edge of Milliken's campus. We actually rented from Milliken, did a full build-out for a restaurant.
I remember
and
this.
Helped got that up and started.
And how did that go? I mean, was
It went pretty well overall.
good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Had you
Overall
ever
went pretty
been
well.
in the restaurant business before?
Never.
Impressive.
Yeah, my dad
That's
was
impressive.
not either.
Yeah.
My dad was always just on the other side of the counter, and he was a taxi driver in the 80s in the Chicagoland area. So
I love
he
it.
knew all the good spots. So,
Yeah,
So
that's-
kind of a father and son project.
cool.
When I went back home, summertime and stuff, we'd, hey, we're in this neighborhood. We got to go check out this place and get a Polish or Italian beef.
Pretty
and-
sweet.
Yeah.
I love it.
Just
It was
hot
a fun
dogs?
story. Hot dogs, burgers, Italian beef, Okay. And then a couple years back, my dad sold it to a group, really nice family in town. They have a taqueria, and now they have a mixed concept of hot dogs, burgers, and tacos.
Oh, cool.
At the same establishment. Yeah.
And it was, I think I heard it was called University Dogs.
University
which
Dogs.
Is a pretty, I like it. That's great. What
It
a
was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Were you open late night?
We were
For college
Yeah,
students?
that was the whole real stick of that location. We were
Yeah.
open till 3 a.m. on like Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays.
would
Is
you work
that
behind
right?
the counter?
Yes.
You were in there?
Yeah, for the first
Wow.
2 years graduating from college. That's
Yeah.
what I did.
Did
And
you
then-
ever do any other or additional locations besides that
we had
one?
a catering, like a hot dog cart. And we'd go to events and such. And
Oh,
then
I
we
love
started
it.
looking at other locations, but we just stuck to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. And then what? After you got out of the hot dog business, or how long have you been with Main Place?
I've been with Main Place since 2018. Is
Okay.
when Chris Harrison and myself came over to Main Place, and that was when we formed Main Place Real Estate.
Okay.
Which was really a full service brokerage company where we could offer residential services, commercial services, and then of course some management services as well.
Sure. Excellent. What's the kind of the breakdown percentage-wise between the residential, commercial development side of the or management side, I guess?
So the management is mostly it's mostly internal. I mean, most of the properties we do manage are mostly internal.
Gotcha.
They're
We have a handful
self-owned.
of outside clients, and we like to stick to core commercial properties.
Gotcha.
So your
Sure.
retail, strip malls,
Yep. Okay.
the things like that are really our focus for outside management.
Okay.
But in 2018, we made the jump into getting into brokerage business.
Okay.
And right now, I've got to thank Zane and Chris that
Yeah.
we're now second in Macon County in volume, and that's in 6 years when we weren't doing any volume in any way, shape, or form. But we were going over the numbers today, about 15% of the volume.
Okay.
And, second in a brokerage in 6 years.
Yeah.
That's
solid.
That is solid.
solid,
And it's
yeah.
solid. And it honestly, I did not think that we would achieve that volume because it's not quite the core of our business, but it now has become a core of our business just because of the success we've had. So it's great.
That's great.
Yeah. Cool. Yep. And that's something Chris Harrison, one of our teammates, he's the managing broker of our residential team.
Okay.
We have about 14 brokers now of just core residential and some really high performers.
That's terrific.
Just a really good group of people.
Yeah. Are you guys still downtown in
Still downtown, Main
cool.
and Main.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
What you still play golf?
I do. I try to.
what's your
I have a
handicap?
2-year-old daughter who
who
likes to check over my golf
things.
time a little
I bet
bit.
she does. Yeah.
Right now I'm a 6, and
Yeah. Okay.
I played golf yesterday. I'm not sure how I'm a 6,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I was going to ask you guys, when you're not working, what do you do for what are your hobbies?
Oh, right now, so Decatur just hosted a soccer tournament called the Mid-State Cup.
Oh yeah.
And so I've got I've got 4 kids myself, but I've got 2 sons that play soccer, and
Okay.
I coach.
Oh, cool.
At Mid-State.
Nice.
So
Nice.
I'm coaching 10-year-olds and 15-year-olds.
How's your team?
They're good. They both got second in
Okay.
their division, and it was a wonderful experience. But my son, my 15-year-old, he just got injured for the first time. He broke his thumb playing soccer.
Yeah.
First time he's ever gotten injured. So it was a little bit of a mixed weekend. It was fun.
Sure.
It was a torrential downpour on Saturday.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And then my son breaks his thumb the night up of
Yeah.
the game, and so it was an interesting weekend. But it's always fun to have. I think they had 142 teams
Oh
Man,
my
no
in
gosh.
that tournament.
Well, that's
it's
great
incredible.
for the hotels and
Great for the
restaurants.
economy.
It's
Right.
fantastic.
Yeah.
huge.
That's awesome.
And then they had 3 high schools participate as well.
So
Yeah.
So how are
it's
the
been
fields
fantastic.
out there? Are they still really, really nice?
They're very nice.
Out there off Mound Road,
Yeah.
right? And
Right
then
off of Mound Road, right where the old
Stephen
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 Decatur,
Cater. Thank you.
yes. Yeah, that's-
Stephen Cater, and
Yeah.
it's so much fun. So that's one of the things that I like doing. I still keep in touch
Yeah.
and still try to coach as much as I can.
So you played soccer?
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
and that's the draw for your kids,
I did.
partly
They-
at least.
I won't admit it to their face, but they are better than I was at that age by
like
far.
it. Well,
so
Yeah, most of our kids are.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Except for Matt, he wasn't a better athlete. than I was.
Well, yeah. We won't go down that road.
We had to plug Matt. Come on. It's a joke. That was a joke, by the way. How about you? Do you do anything outside of work?
I like to try to play some golf and then just go to some good events around the community. Actually, Saturday we came over to Springfield and went to that Malibu Jacks in the mall.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was
How
that
was
was
that?
great.
How
for a
was it? Was it
2-year-old.
good?
Awesome.
I've not.
Yeah.
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 And obviously as she gets older, there's more and more to do. But they had a just 3 and under little playpen, jungle gym, and
Place is huge, right?
it is
It's
big.
unbelievable.
and
I've
it
been
was
in there a
awesome.
couple
Yeah.
times. It's amazing.
We
how
came over
big
with
it is.
another couple friends of ours. They're actually moving to the Springfield area, and we had pizza, and it was a great time. Yeah.
I've taken some folks over to the Devon. That is quite.
Yes.
That is
Yeah.
awesome.
That's always a
I
highlight.
mean,
if we
people
can
from
get
Springfield,
down.
they'll go over and like, wow, we
I
had
was just
no
there
idea.
last night. It's fantastic.
It's crazy.
And
I
they
went
just-
last summer for
Yeah.
the first time.
Yeah.
And just
Unbelievable. I was
beautiful.
blown away
And I think
by
it's
it.
just taking off amongst the artist community too. I would think just
And
a
are
neat
they
venue.
are they remodeling there or not?
Yeah,
They
they
just
just
did
a
it.
big expansion.
They
done,
just
right?
did,
Or-
yeah. They expanded their concession area,
Okay.
and restrooms, and
Awesome.
had some more upper deck seating, and
That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah, above
Yes.
above the concession
Yeah.
area.
Yes.
I think I heard. Is that
Yeah.
right? Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, what an awesome venue.
Yeah.
And sitting right there on the lake,
Yeah.
it's impressive.
Yeah.
It's
for
great.
sure.
Yeah, and then they brought back the boat races this year.
I saw that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's before my time in
Yeah.
Decatur, at least before my time of getting out of the community. Maybe I was on
Yeah.
like the Milliken bubble.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But those boat
Before
races,
that.
have you ever been to those?
No.
It's a pretty cool thing to see
I bet.
if you've never seen it. I mean, it is fun. It's fun, and they're loud, and they are fast. So, tell us what else is happening at Main Place that maybe some folks don't know about that you'd like to get the word out on.
I think really it's just doing those redevelopment agreements. I mean, I think we have a lot of things in store that I wish I could talk about now.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I look forward to being able to invest and work with Decatur and
Sure.
and make sure that we can really do some transformational change. Because really, when you're adding 2 apartments to a place, it's not going to really make a difference.
Right.
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 But the goal is to try to figure out something much bigger than that.
Okay, I like
and
it.
we're trying to form the battle plan basically and make sure that we can actually get to the finish line with a much larger project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
So
are-
therefore, this test project.
Yeah,
and
and,
that
and
you're
it
talking
is
about.
it's about $1.5 million. I mean, it's not
it's
not
not
that
small.
It's
It's
not
not a small
small,
one, right.
but I really am aiming bigger than that. I really would like to aim bigger than that, and I really think that it's important for Decatur or Bloomington or Springfield or Champaign to really look at these things and look in Central Illinois, because these TIF districts and this way of giving developers an opportunity to revitalize their downtowns is what Decatur has done, has basically given me the opportunity to be able to do that in the next 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
And we are really working behind the scenes to try to figure out a much larger project than that.
Yeah.
And
how we can put a dent in that 680 shortage.
Yeah,
looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And like
It is.
on say that $1.5 million project, do you self-perform the reconstruction, or do you guys sub all that out? Or do you
it's
just
a
little of
it's
both?
a mix.
Mix a little
It's a
of both.
mix
Okay, so you
because-
guys have guys on staff that can
Yeah,
do.
we have a full maintenance crew.
Yeah.
What's our team up to? Like 8?
Oh wow.
eight
Yeah.
maintenance, and then we have over 30 people that we employ through Main Place right now.
That's
and so
terrific.
it's bigger than it
big-
ever has
bigger
been.
than I would have thought.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that big. Yeah, gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
It's great.
We have a great team. I mean, that's one thing. Just everybody, has the same goal and comes and gives it their effort. And I think that's, especially for the Main Place real estate side and how that brand's taken off in the community from residential brokerage. It's made a big difference.
It has.
So being an older guy now, I feel like I remember when I was your guys' age, and trying to grow Peerless and do some different things and try and add value, if you will. But is there a younger business group of individuals like around your age in Decatur that's kind of up and coming?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if that's.
I would think a lot of them are tied to bigger corporations in
they?
Decatur.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
There's some good independent people.
But there are good independent
Okay.
people, but
Always trying to pull together
Yeah.
and get behind some community events and do the right thing and grow where we live. I mean, that's
Yeah, love it.
yeah.
I think that it's been more optimistic than it has been since I started working for Main Place.
Oh,
in
awesome.
reality,
Yeah.
I mean, because the amount of jobs that are coming to Decatur,
Right.
is a much larger number than I would even expect.
Sure.
And I think it's in the 4-figure range.
Yeah.
In the next few years, and so if we don't get something done in Decatur
Right.
for housing,
Right.
Yeah.
they're gonna
big
move,
problem, yeah.
you know,
Somewhere
else.
else.
In your backyard
Right.
and stay here in Springfield and commute.
And the commute.
Yeah.
Right.
So and I know a lot of people do that already.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a fascinating predicament because you have this huge disconnect, and I'm really looking forward to trying to solve it.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, cool. How would you guys say you divide up your time between the property management, development, brokerage? Do you have, I'm curious.
Good question.
That's a good question.
A lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah, that sounds like there's a lot going on. Yeah.
The easiest answer is it definitely ebbs and flows, right?
yeah,
And,
sure.
and we were talking about this on the way over here. I mean, sometimes, the reactionary mindset versus the proactive.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and sometimes, you're more productive when it's reactionary than taking the proactive stance.
Yeah.
But, it's interesting, and we both do a good job at managing that. I feel like our whole team does. So I don't know if that really answered your question.
Well,
yeah,
I think it boils down to it's a much different it's not different Main Place properties, but in reality, like my father started Main Place Properties, and we had the same team, and I worked with the same 3 or 4 people for 15 years.
Sure.
And in a matter of a year,
Yeah.
they were all gone.
Yeah.
My dad passed away in 2021, and then we had Tim Raycraft, who passed away a year later. We also had another person leave. And in reality, in 2021 and 22, I had to rebuild Main Place Properties, and I got lucky.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I got lucky because Zane and Chris really stepped up and really divided from commercial and residential because they were already doing a great job with the brokerage. So we restructured everything, restructured the way Main Place Properties works, and with the team that we have, it's very different, but it is the same. We have the same vision that we did for the last 15, 17 years. It's just a lot of new faces around, and it's been, like I said, it's been really lucky to be able to develop a team at Main Place, like it always has been.
And to have
been fantastic.
And having 2 devastations like that happen in a business that a lot
that's
of people
huge.
don't recover from that.
Yeah.
And much less grow. So
I mean, it was.
kudos
I
to
mean,
you,
it was.
and it's
It
all
was
about-
within a week that I had a conversation with Zane, and Zane stepped up, and we're partners in everything, and it's wonderful. It's great. and it's been fantastic that I've known him for so long.
Yeah.
It was easy to bring everything in and recreate the wheel, and now it's moving just like nothing happened.
A lot of fun because we have some good projects that we talked about that are now coming in fruition, and you know, guys here at the end of the summer are going to start swinging hammers, and that's exciting.
Yeah, seeing progress.
Yes,
right?
yeah,
That's cool.
So it sounds in a lot of ways you mentioned vision. Same place, same vision, maybe just reorganized in some different ways with different.
And I wouldn't say
different
Zane and
folks.
I are completely the same type of person. We don't operate the same way. We see eye to eye on everything we do. Communication is the biggest thing. Is that we know what the other's doing at all times.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Sure.
I don't think we have the same way of doing it, but that's a positive.
Sure.
Because we can kind of yin and yang and make sure that, you know, oh, well, you're more suited to do this. I'm more suited to tackle this.
Yes.
And it's been great. It really has. And that's what I had a long time ago, you know, when I was doing that with my dad or Tim.
Yep.
And that's what we would do. We would try to divide and conquer, and it's the same setup, and it's working to a T. It's great.
Cool. That's true. Do you have any other family members in the business?
No, not right now.
Gotcha. Yep.
No, but I think that makes it simpler.
Yeah.
I mean,
right. No, absolutely.
Technically, my mom is my boss.
Yeah,
but,
sure.
But
No, absolutely.
she's a wonderful boss, and she's well thought out. But in reality, we are lucky enough to have a lot of freedom to be able to run the ship, and I really appreciate that she lets us do that. So.
That's terrific. Yeah.
And my domestic boss is in the business as well. My wife's a residential wheelchair. So yes,
Does she work with you guys?
She does. Yes,
I like it.
Yeah, she is definitely the boss.
Right.
Yeah. You want to say that again?
We're gonna put that word out there.
Yeah. Just don't forget that. Okay. Yeah.
So she was a big part when Chris and I came over in 2018. She was working for ADM full time, and I somehow convinced her to quit her ADM corporate HR job to come sell real estate full time and help Chris and I kind of manage things as we were starting up this new, you know, sub office.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought she was crazy when she did that.
Yeah.
I remember her doing
That's
that,
awesome.
and I was like,
And
that's crazy.
She loves it. She's good at it, and she enjoys helping clients in the community. And
That's great.
so-
Yeah,
I
cool.
love it.
What are the biggest challenges you think you face moving forward?
The stigma that's never going to change in Central Illinois. I think that's one of the hardest things.
Yeah.
I mean, change is really hard for the Midwest, especially Central Illinois.
Yeah.
I mean, this is how we've always done it. This is
I
how it's
agree.
always been.
Yeah.
And for us to be younger, to try to make this change happen has always been a challenge.
Yeah.
I will say this, though. It's getting better. You're finding less roadblocks.
Sure.
I mean, if you beat on a door enough times, it finally does open.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing is that there are certain things that are changing, and it's nice to see that it's finally where people are actually starting to get on board, where change is necessary.
Sure.
And we need to evolve in Central Illinois.
I love that.
And it doesn't have to be overnight.
Right.
It can be
Yeah.
over 5 to
Can
10
take
years.
time.
Yeah.
It will take time, and we are lucky enough to have time.
And
to be
really,
able to
that's
win.
one of those things, again, the pandemic, I think, has really further helped Central Illinois grow. I think that gave a lot of people in some big urban environments a chance to
Permission.
step back and go, hey, why don't I move back closer to my parents? Or why don't I go back where I grew up from?
Right.
Or the work from home culture. Okay, why don't I go to a place that has lower cost of living?
Sure.
I mean, personally, I love Central Illinois because I can get to Chicago in 3 hours, St. Louis in 2,
Yes.
Indy. I mean, any big event, anything like that,
I
rent a
agree.
hotel for the night,
I agree.
make a weekend out of it, and have some fun. Because
Yes.
I grew up in Chicago for 20 years of my life, and you know, there's a lot of events that go on, and a lot of times people in Chicago go, I don't want to fight traffic and go to that. I don't want to deal with crowds. I don't want to, you know, and you get, you know, a lot of people in those urban environments don't really experience what there is to offer.
No, so true.
And then again, Central Illinois has so much of our own entertainment and things to do.
Yep.
I mean, if you look at the map and go 45 minutes away from myself, I can go to Bloomington this weekend, Champaign the next weekend,
Yep.
and Springfield, and
100%.
there's just a lot of good stuff happening here.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I love it.
Agreed.
Well, you guys are certainly optimistic, and that's infectious. So that's good stuff.
Well, thank you.
know?
Yeah,
And I was over in Mount Zion the other day. I hadn't been over there either in a long time because I'm always here in Springfield. But I was blown away by how much is going on even in the Mount Zion corridor, that 121 corridor. It just felt different, and it just felt like there's a lot of investment even in that area. Do you guys have anything in the Mount Zion area that you
we do
manage or own,
we do, and we one of the projects about housing is that we did switch something. I don't know if you know about enterprise zones at all, but
I know, but yeah, he does for sure. Yeah.
So we just switched a tract of land in an
to
enterprise
put it into an enterprise zone.
to put it into an enterprise zone, and we had to say what purpose it was for.
Yeah. Okay.
And it is for housing.
Yeah,
So
nice.
that's that's very much emphasis stage.
Yeah.
But it is one of those areas that we are looking at doing something significant.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that it's a done deal.
Right.
And by all means, those types of things take time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, trying to sell a piece of ground to Loves takes 36 months.
Yeah.
This may take longer.
Yeah, right.
So,
Yeah.
but you've got to do your due diligence, but it is something that you've got to dream big too.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, an enterprise zone makes it that much more attractive
It does.
for whoever's going to be the investor.
Yeah.
Correct.
To build whatever it is
That's right.
you're thinking about somebody building.
Yes.
Yep.
It
Yeah.
incentivizes
It's another
them
good,
significantly.
tool out there.
Yes.
Sure.
That, through legislation
Yep.
that's provided. For some economic growth. And in addition to that, we also have Southeast Place, which is one of the new housing subdivisions in Decatur proper. It's in Mount Zion Schools.
Okay.
Roy Mosser started it, and
Yes.
we took it over from Mr. Mosser.
Oh, you did?
Yes. Yeah. So that's
So,
a
like-
single-family housing development behind the AMC movie theater, Hawthorne Suites,
Oh.
right in that corridor on the
okay,
east side of 121.
I didn't know that. Well, awesome. That's terrific.
Cool.
Yeah, cool.
Good stuff. You guys have done a lot
Yeah.
in a few years.
Yeah.
That's for
Well,
sure.
it's been building since 2006, and
I guess so. Yeah, it is.
maybe even prior to that. So
Yeah,
it's
it's been in the works for
it's
a
all
long
building
time.
blocks, but just as long as we keep stacking them.
So did you guys graduate together?
We
the
did.
Same year
We did.
from Milliken?
That's
Okay.
that's where we met in Milliken, and we had I got to go to University of Dogs a few times, and that part of town with Zane, maybe a few late nights while studying, but that's
Sure.
Right.
Gotcha.
Studying. Yeah.
studying.
So all
quote
that was a
unquote
setup for my next
Yes.
question, which is,
Yep.
so if you could look back at yourselves when you graduated in what year?
Yeah, good call.
2011.
In 2011,
Yeah.
13 years out here grinding, doing your thing.
Yeah.
Based on what you've learned in that time since you left Milliken, what advice would you give your younger self based on what you've learned to date?
Yeah. Well, I would say,
Yeah. I gotta think.
I think asking for help when you need it. And there's a lot of people
like
out there, especially in real estate. There's so many, real estate developers. And the best thing about real estate, and, I'm young enough, I can say this now, maybe in 30, 40 years, I won't say this, but I think I will. I'm going to do this forever.
Yeah,
Like, it's just great. You can kind of take it take your projects as they come. But it's been a great experience to learn from mentors, and I have many of them in the real estate industry and in the business industry. But asking for help, asking those people that have been there before, maybe not exactly the same scenario, but something similar, and asking them what their experience was, what they did, and then adapting that to your own style.
Great stuff.
And that's something I didn't do early on in life that I wish I did.
Yeah, cool. That's great advice.
That is
A
great
lot of
advice,
people don't want to ask for
That's
help,
right.
even though they know they need it, right?
That was a great answer.
probably
I
all
don't know
been
if I
there.
could beat
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, have some wisdom at the table.
But I always tell, I always told Matt, I said, you'd be surprised how many people, like guys like us, that have been there want to help. But if you don't ask for it, you don't get it.
Well, the biggest thing is too. I mean, even in okay, your competitor's not going to want to help you,
Right,
right?
right.
There's always competition, and we might be friendly, but we're not going to bend over backwards to help our competition. But go to a different market. It's a big world. It's a big country. Go to a different state. Go 3 states over.
Sure.
I'm part of a CCIM certified commercial investment member. It's a designation you get if you're focused in commercial real estate, especially investment real estate. And it's just a big network of people. And it's a great network for me to get out of and in front of.
Yeah.
Go to a couple events and meet people that are doing what I do across the country and just see what they're doing. And it's a lot of fun. Okay, there's a lot of guys in their big urban markets that just focus on office, this size to this size. But talking to some of the people in the smaller tertiary, secondary markets and seeing what they're doing. And it's just a lot of fun, and it's cool to see what someone else is doing and adapt from there.
That's terrific.
Great answer. Really good.
Like I said, I'm still working on it. But, to tell you the truth, I think that I would say that don't worry about what other people think. Do what you do and do what's right.
Right.
And I know that I come from family who has always believed that. But at my young age, I always had difficulty of that, trying to please others, trying to make sure.
Right?
No, it is not easy.
It's not.
And so I have gotten better as I've gotten older in believing in what I think is right and what I think should be right, and just doing what I think is right, and then just going with it and not worrying about everybody else. And so, like this project, I'm really excited, and I know that there might be a little bit of controversy of somebody thinking that, oh, you're going to do this investment because of something else or anything like that. And I think that I really should just take it in stride and say, I know I'm doing something right for Decatur, and I think I'm doing the right thing. So that's what we should do.
Good for you.
And I think if I would have known that at a younger age, I may have been able to do a little bit more change. But I was lucky enough to have somebody who guided me a lot when I was younger to become the person that I am today. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
I like it.
Good stuff for sure.
Well, I got to tell you, Ben, your family has been super instrumental in the success of Peerless, starting with your grandfather, Dwayne. And when my mom and dad bought the business in 1978, we did a lot of work with Dwayne, and then with your mom and dad, and obviously you and your sister. And I would have to say your family has been our #1 best client. And that's not just in restoration; it's in carpet cleaning, it's in dry cleaning, it's in air duct cleaning. And I think it's really cool seeing that you're going to be leaving your handprint or your footprint in Decatur as well. And that's pretty awesome. And I didn't know what you guys had going on, right?
I would say that they're, with the legacy that I come from, like there's no way I'm going to hold a candle to them. But the way I would say it is that, you go into like a shoe closet, right? You've got a set of shoes and everything, and you put a few shoes out. And I just want to leave my set of shoes next to them.
Yes.
And it might be a different pair. It might be a different
Absolutely.
path. But I just want to leave my footprint there and be able to do something significant. Maybe it's not the same. Maybe it's not the way that somebody else did it, but it's going to be close. It's going to be pretty close to the same size. But that's really my goal, is that if we can make a footprint that's similar and impactful. And it's great. And honestly, I love the fact that you've been working with us, because you've gotten us out of a few binds too. I'm not gonna lie. We were just talking about, we had
unfortunately, sometimes on the restoration side, when Peerless is called, we're usually getting phone calls late at night or early in the morning, and in turn, you guys are as well. So
we're always here for you. And Zane, love your story, man. I mean, that's really cool where you started and where you guys are going. So, and it's been a joy talking to you guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for carving out a little time for us.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
You bet.